Ang all night jazz club green room promise on the set list. The jazz club on Barrow keeps its promises the way a trumpet keeps breath, held a heartbeat too long, released with intention. After midnight, the room forgets to separate music from air. Ice clinks like punctuation. The neon sign outside blinks a thesis and then forgives itself. I slid past the doorman with my phone face down in my palm like a coin I wasn't ready to spend and tucked it into my left pocket, the pocket I use for things that are supposed to make it home. A bass line walked me down the narrow hallway toward the green room. A red exit sign watched our backs like a thoughtful enemy. Back home, Oliver had said, "Can we talk tomorrow?" in the voice that means, "Please stay now." Our couch is generous with theatrics. If we sit at opposite ends long enough, it swears us in. I left before either of us started rehearsing testimony we'd resent over breakfast. Halfway down the stairs, my screen lit with a message from Nico, in my contacts, in the way I label hazards to make them smaller. Last set. Green room after. Just talk. Roofs forgive nobody in daylight. Backstage pretends it will. By day, I fix other people's paragraphs. By night, I try not to turn my own into weapons. Oliver and I keep a code that works when we remember it. T means come here, you awake. Means I'm scared. Tomorrow means not yet, but don't go far. Nico had drifted back into orbit 2 months ago wearing a black shirt, unbuttoned one too many, and a laugh that sounded like a glass agreeing to be set down gently. He never asked for anything. That was how I started bringing him everything. The band finished a tune that made the room blink twice and reconsider its choices. I edged past a curtain with a stained hem into the green room that wasn't green, just brick painted a patient gray, a couch with a mend like a scar, a mirror nibbled at its edges by time. Nico stood by the table where chords become gossip, collar open, sleeves pushed, mouth that had not learned to take the night off. He was polishing the bell of his trumpet with the tenderness that makes men tell dangerous truths. "You came," he said, "because grown men never tire of pretending a rival is a plot twist." "I came to return something," I said. "My mute, your self-control." "Your name," I said. "It's been on my mouth too long for its own health." He set the trumpet down and reached for a folded set list, the paper soft from pockets and sweat and opinions. He smoothed it on the table and drew a pencil from behind his ear like a good idea he'd been saving. "3 words," he said, tapping the margin. "Why are you here?" 3 words is cruel. That's why they work. He looked up through lashes designed to resist good decisions. No speeches behind curtains. We miss our cue. I wrote proud at breakfast. Beneath it, smaller like a fuse I wasn't sure I'd dare to light, touch before arguing. He read the graphite as if it could bruise. He didn't touch me. His hand hovered a breath from my lapel, the distance a match keeps during training, then fell to the table as if the mirror had an opinion. "Does he know?" Nico asked. He didn't need to weaponize the pronoun. "He knows the apartment is quiet," I said, and the mirror decided to forgive me by refusing to be accurate. A drummer's laugh cracked like a knuckle from the stage. A bartender yelled "last call" with the authority of a minor deity. Nico stepped into my weather. Heat arrived before hands do when men are trying to be better than the reasons they came. "Tell me no," he said softly, and made it sound almost like an option. I didn't. I met him in the inch that rewrites evenings. His mouth tasted like mint and citrus and risk that keeps receipts. His hand found the back of my neck and remembered humane limits. My body answered like a courtroom that wants the witness anyway. He made the sound men make when a small country surrenders and calls it diplomacy. I made the one I've learned to trust when it belongs to him. We didn't rush. Green rooms prefer precise heat. His mouth found the hinge of my jaw, Mine found the line behind his ear where regret loses vocabulary. His palm slid under my shirt and rested flat a second. "Do you swear?" Then moved with attention rather than appetite. He guided my hand down with the steadiness of someone who respects tools. I closed my fingers and he exhaled into my mouth a truth nobody paid to hear. He reached for me and I let him. We stayed quiet because Brick prefers prose. The mirror pretended to be a window and succeeded. "We already cheated," he said when breath remembered itself. "We cheated when we started telling each other the truth before we told it at home." "I know," I said. Past the curtain, cymbals whispered an alibi. He lifted the set list and slid it into my left pocket with ceremonial slowness. His thumb traced my wrist once and chose not to stay. He stepped back the moral inch that passes inspection. "I booked a room," he said, not triumphant. "Weather report, not prophecy. Refundable. We could stand at a window and not touch for 60 seconds just to prove we remember ceremony. We could keep the do not disturb honest." "I'm tired of being clever," I said. "Clever's a solo," he said. "Accurate is the groove." The club owner stuck his head in long enough to say encore, in the accent of mercies that charge a cover. Nico gathered his horn and turned the bell toward the door, then toward me. "Text me a weather report in the morning," he said. "Tell me if the kettle beat the reasons." "It usually does," I said, "when we let it." He kissed me again, brief, exact, something a tip jar could keep without lying to itself, and slipped back onto the stage. The curtain breathed once and closed. The room remembered its job. I stood with my hand on the pocket where promises were sweating and counted to 20 because dignity likes even numbers. I didn't drink on the way out. The doorman nodded with the gravity of a man who knows which doors are accurate and which are only dramatic. The crosswalk gave me time. I took it. The apartment offered its square of kitchen light and the fridge's patient hum. Oliver sat on the floor with his back against the door, sleeves pushed to his elbows, one ankle crossed over the other, the posture manuals use when they draw people who are about to fix things. He didn't ask where I'd been. He tilted his head toward the place beside him. I sat. "Do you want to be asked?" he said, voice steady, not performing mercy, offering it. "Please," I said, "because prompts are scaffolding when you've been building without permits." "Are you lonely?" "Some nights," I said. "Not here. Not when you ask first. Not when the kettle outruns the reasons." I took his wrist and placed his hand on my forearm the way he does when he needs to make sure I'm not inventing weather. His thumb traced once and decided to believe me. "I feel useful," he said. "I want to be wanted before I'm useful." "Tonight's procedure," I said. "Touch first, argue second, report later." The kettle clicked like a stamp in a country still practicing mail. He stood and poured water over mint. We named it dinner because names are cheaper than regret. I pinned the set list beneath a novelty magnet shaped like a quarter note so Proud at Breakfast faced the room. Oliver read the graphite and his mouth did the smaller, braver thing. He took the dry erase marker from the cup by the fridge and wrote beneath the note, "Tomorrow, keep the torque." He didn't grin. He nodded like a man, assembling a morning from honest screws. We made a rule that isn't noble. When prosecution tries to wear a bathrobe, one of us says green room and the other puts the kettle on while the first puts his hands where history can find them. 5 words when 5 are enough. Stop at the shoulder, not the ditch. Try to want what we promised, and when we don't, write 3 words on small paper and tell the room where we failed and how we'll fail differently tomorrow. Days do what days do when you're trying to be an amateur human with professional consistency. The paper in my pocket learns the shape of my left hand. Paper learns its carriers. On the late bus, I draft messages to no one that begin I didn't ask because I thought that counted as kindness and end may your breakfast go right. I don't send them. The not sending feels like a skill borrowed from drum brushes and doors that know the difference between exit and escape. A week later, afternoon tries to be a test. I walk past the club and buy nothing. I leave a bottle of water on the stage doorstep with a note, "For whoever is waiting for a sister." The sound guy glances up and gives me the nod bridges use when they've held and will hold again. On my way home, I slip a blank set list into my pocket and write "Turn" toward your name across the clean side. I don't light anything. That night we eat toast like it has been newly invented. We fail, and fail differently, and fail in ways that don't require anyone to stand under a neon promise pretending to know which song will save them. The room does not demand a verdict. The morning remembers its job. And when we say tomorrow out loud, it means only what we let it mean.